Hello everybody. Let me just change the information on the stream. Seems like I'm playing a game during business hours. Not looking good. But I'm talking about writing academic papers. Papers. There you go. And just chatting. That's the category. There you go. Okay, there we go. So, a wonderful morning, everybody. Had a really sucky writing morning today. A bunch of work things to deal with. Had a pretty bad sleepy night. So anyway, starting slowly today, but we need self-compassion. We need to forgive ourselves when we have a bad writing day. And just recollect and refocus. And this is what we shall do. And I shall do it with all of you. And thanks so much for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd really appreciate a like on the video. And if you enjoy this and the other videos on the channel, consider subscribing. I upload short videos every day and a longer video on weekends. So what I want to discuss with you today is the move from outcome to process in papers. Okay, and the elephant in the room in academia, I'll not say especially in places like management and so on, where papers have this super long revise and resubmit cycles that take years, and there's a lot of investment in each paper. It's mental health, right? I mean, this is stressful as hell, writing papers, because you know that no matter how great your work is, it can always be rejected. There's always like one enthusiastic reviewer, one so and so, and the famous reviewer too, who hates your paper and will hate it to the end of their life. So it's pretty stressful, and for me, it really helps for my mental health. It really helps taking a process approach to writing academic papers to develop my pipeline, instead of focusing on these big outcomes, on publication. So basically the idea is you focus on writing and you trust the writing process that it will lead to publication. And something that I think we should take more seriously than we do is the idea of a pipeline. Okay, a pipeline obviously comes from pipes, but the other occupation where it is used a lot is in sales. Okay, and in sales, my father was a salesperson. I study salespeople, or that's what I did for my PhD at very least. And salespeople have this mentality that they don't focus on making the sale. They focus on managing a pipeline. And if you look at the software that is used to manage sales, it is 100% focus on the pipeline, 100%. Okay, and there are 3 lessons that we can take from how salespeople manage your pipeline. The first one is trust the process. This means that if you do the right things, if you have for your pipeline, you end up with sales. You don't worry about the sales. You work on the pipeline. That's what you can control. You cannot control the outcome, right? So you work on what you can control, and that's the process. The second thing is this dual pipeline approach, right? So as a salesperson, obviously you want to close the big deals, right? Because that's where the big bonus is. That's where, what advances you more towards your end of year or end of quarter sort of target. But you also have this sort of smaller deal pipeline, to show that you're selling to, to make some money, make some bonuses, right? As you work on the longer term, bigger deals, right? Sounds familiar, like, the big career defining papers versus the smaller papers. This is super, super important. And it is the key mistake that I see high potential, and let me underscore that, high potential young academics do, is only have a top end pipeline with papers for the top journals. So, Org Science, Academy, American Journal of Sociology, whatever is a leading journal in your field. Only this. That's the only thing on the pipeline. Like, a salesperson will tell you that they will go like crazy stressed if this is what they had, right? But it's not about the outcome. There's no stress about the outcome. They're just stressed about what is the composition of their pipeline. It's a bad pipeline for a salesperson, or let me put it this way: it's a scary pipeline for a salesperson. Very scary pipeline. Okay. Now you can tell me, yeah, there are people that only publish in very top journals. That is true. That is true. Okay. But if you look back at my video on, can you publish stuff if you're not a genius? Those people are geniuses, right? And I've met like real genius people in my life, and these people are on another planet, and obviously they can get outcomes from another planet. But then you can think, okay, some of these people, just have some specific background. It doesn't matter, right? What matters is that for the average human, like for the average salesperson, obviously there are salespeople that are always like on the top deals. But even those salespeople will tell you, that's a bad idea, right? It's just like just a tiny bit stressful, and maybe for them it's like. Speaking on management, it's about ASQ versus Org Science, whereas for me, it's sort of like more MSQ or Org Science versus some smaller journals. But always this dual pipeline, So that's the second thing. The second thing that we learn from salespeople, having the big deal and the smaller deal pipeline. Third thing, super important. First time I heard this, it sucked to hear it, but it is true. It is true. Sales is a numbers game. And that means that some sales will fail. Some papers will fail. Some papers will be rejected over and over and over and over again. Okay? And you need to live with that, right? You need to accept that some stuff in your pipeline will never get published, okay? And then you publish it as a book chapter, because that's where papers go to die, book chapters. Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to open my my pipeline spreadsheet, okay? And I want to show you, how that looks, okay? So, great here is the sort of like the category of the journal, and you can see the journal names here, okay? So you'll see that in my pipeline I have one top line piece, okay? This is here. So all of this is I I'm sort of working on, but these are our new projects. So these are revise and resubmits. From here, it's revise and resubmits for paper that I sent. So what you see here is one paper is a top line. Then in France, European Journal of IS is also top line. Obviously, it's a good journal. But you see, so I have a couple. This is actually 3. Okay. Then I have a couple on category 2, and then I have 3 on category 2. Okay. So these are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's the first idea. Like you need the numbers in a pipeline, because if papers are going to be rejected, of these 7 papers, some will be rejected. There was one. Where is it? So this one, for example, I got rejected, and I need to work from European Journal of IS, and I need to go back and work on it. But you know, this is going to be a fresh new submission, so I cannot count on it for the next 2-3 years, right? So 7 papers on revise and resubmit or out, okay? And this one is from has already a couple of revise and resubmit runs on it, okay? So that's it. That's the pipeline. You know, 7 papers. Are these 7 papers going to be all published? No. I wish they will be all published. They will not. That's the pipeline. Okay. That's the pipeline. They will not be published. And again, thinking about different levels. So 1, max 2, like top of the line pieces, but then most of it not. This is how salespeople think. You know. Would I like to have MISQ all over here? Yes, I would. Or MISQ, Work Science, ASQ, AMR, MJ. Yes, I would. But, that is a bad pipeline. I'll be a bad writer, a bad academic writer, if I had a top line pipeline. Because that's not how pipelines work, right? That's not how good pipelines get designed. Okay? So and again, I want to get back to the issue of mental health, because it is an issue, and I also want to talk about your work family balance. And actually, let me start with the work family balance. I'm very grateful that my son is 21 on Wednesday, and I have to say that looking back, I really did. I've really been fortunate enough to be able to spend a huge amount of time with him, and I think that's the biggest success and the biggest source of happiness in my life. And the moment where I really began to spend time with my son was when I went into this idea of writing 3 to 4 hours a day, okay? Because then, the rest of the time I obviously had, teaching to do and prepare, and that took several hours a day. But after that, I knew I had done my 3 hours, my 4 hours, and I was entitled, I was allowed, I was supposed to spend time with my son. And that is, I tell you, like looking back, when if you enjoy at all being a dad like I do, I do very much, looking back into that and thinking, that you could have spent your time writing papers instead, it's pretty scary. I mean, I just feel so lucky and fortunate to have discovered this, and I cannot take credit for a super carefully deliberate decision making, but I feel just very fortunate. And what I want to show you here is, as I told you in the last video, I'm not a genius. Okay, I do most of the work. I write a bunch of papers on my own, with a couple of exceptions here in the list. I have done most of the work for these papers. So this is what comes out of 3 hours a day. You can have a 7-paper pipeline on 3 hours a day. And if you have a 7-paper pipeline distributed across rankings like I do here, I mean, you're going to be all right, right? I mean, things that if you get revised and resubmits and so on, you're going to be all right. I mean, one or two of these things will be out, right? So so that really helps, right? That really helps you strike a balance because sometimes I like feel guilty. Maybe I should write more, but then I look at this and say, I cannot cope. I mean, this is something that you need to be careful, right? I mean, you have to think about the revise and resubmit process. Like the revise and resubmit process has a very important difference from writing the first draft, which is there's a deadline, right? And for example, right now I have three papers in revise and resubmit. This gray one is my co-authors have been generous enough to do a lot of the work on this. So let's say three. I mean, I'm at capacity. It's like I only work with on new stuff when I'm too tired for the stuff from revise and resubmit. So I mean, you should think about this, right? That if you are the lead author on things, can you really work on more than three at a time? With teaching and everything else, I can't. I mean, that's my limit, right? So this is a pretty good pipeline, and so I just cannot feel guilty about if I stop at 4 or at PM or 3 or 2, and I'm done. I've done my writing. I've done my writing. That's and here are the 7 papers. There's you shouldn't. I cannot feel guilty for having a 7-paper pipeline. I cannot do more. I should not do more because if things go well and I get revised and resubmits, as I've been fortunate enough, this past year, I mean, I'm at capacity. Okay. Now, mental health is also that just focusing on the process, not focusing on the outcomes. It's focusing on something that you can control, that you can feel good about. That you feel okay. I've finished this part of the paper. I did this part of the revision. Okay, I have done what I can do. The rest is out of control. Like a sale is out of control. Okay, so really, I would encourage you to take seriously this idea of the pipeline and see all of the huge benefits that it can bring to you. Okay, now. I'll go back to I'll stop the stream and do a little bit of live writing, and you're welcome to stay if you want. Other than that, I would really want to say thank you very much to everybody watching the stream live. It obviously means a huge amount to me. It makes me super happy. I have a super treat for everybody this Saturday. I'm going to tell you about the structure that I use in my papers. It's the same in every paper that when I want to publish in a top journal. I use one structure that has been successful so far in getting at least revised and resubmits, and in a few cases publications in top journals. Otherwise, I'll catch everybody tomorrow, and thanks so much for watching. Bye bye, guys. Have a great day.